Well, as you're going through this process, you find out that Thomet is actually skimming a bunch of money for himself.
Right. Well, we knew he was making money for himself because, why else would he be in business? But we didn't know how much. And so what Efraim did was he asked the guy who was doing the repackaging for us of the ammunition, he asked him if he knew anyone in the Albanian Ministry of Defense. Turned out Albania is a very small country and he had a cousin working there. So he had his cousin find out what the Albanian Ministry of Defense was getting paid for the ammunition that we were paying Heinrich Thomet for. And it turned out that the Albanian Ministry of Defense was getting paid 2 cents a round and we were paying Henry 4 cents a round. So he was like making a 50% profit margin. Now, he probably was paying off the politicians from his end of the deal. We don't know that because obviously he wouldn't tell us that. So he probably wasn't keeping that entire amount of money, but that really pissed off Efraim. He was furious that Henry was making such a large profit margin. Now, we were making about 1.5 cents a round on it. So that's what I told him. I'm like, Efraim, we're making 1.5 cents of profit on it. But that was, I guess, proportionally less because the government was paying us 10.5 cents a round. We had to pay about 5 cents in shipping costs. So there was the financing costs and all that. But Efraim didn't care. He was just furious that Henry was making so much money and he wanted to cut him out of the deal.
Right. But what happened, though, at the end?
So Efraim decides to go to Albania and to try to negotiate with the Albanians directly to cut Henry out of the deal. And the Albanians said, we're not cutting Henry out of the deal. Probably because that's how the politicians were getting their kickbacks. And that's probably why they don't want to cut him out of the deal. But they told Efraim, look, we know that you hired this random Albanian guy to do the repackaging for you, and you're probably paying him a decent amount of money. So we know you want a discount on the ammo. Why don't you give us the contract to repackage the ammo? And we'll make money on that, and then we can give you a small discount off the ammo so you can save money. And so Efraim said, yeah, that makes sense. Let's do that. That guy's fired, you're hired. Let's do that. And he flew back to Miami, and the original packaging guy, the guy who was doing the box guy, we called him, right? Because he owned a cardboard box manufacturing company. He called me up and he said, listen, I got stuck with about $20,000 worth of cardboard boxes that I have nothing to do with now because you guys canceled the contract with me. Can you at least buy these boxes from me? And I said, yeah, that makes sense. Let me talk to Efraim. I'll have him pay you for it. And I told Efraim, and Ephraim's like, yeah, I don't want to buy the boxes from him. Fuck that guy. He's not going to do anything. That's his problem. We didn't tell him to make all those boxes. And I told Efraim, like, that's probably a bad idea because he knows everything we're doing and he's going to be really mad about it. He's like, yeah, don't worry about it. He's a nobody. Don't worry about it. Fuck that guy. I was like, okay, fine. And that guy, Kosta Trebicka is his name, he got really upset, understandably so. And he decided to call up the New York Times and tell them what we were doing, call up the FBI, tell them what we were doing. So they opened up investigations on us. And about 2-3 months after that, well, before this happened, so about like a few weeks later, Efraim decided he didn't want to pay me either. He was he told me, he's like, hey, like, David, like, I don't think like you're really pulling your weight around here anymore. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, because everything was going well at this point. We had, once the repackaging operation was going well, we were delivering like 4 aircraft loads a week into Kabul. And he's like, oh, you're not really coming into the office so much anymore. And I said, well, like, everything's going well. He's like, yeah, but you're not helping me with all these other contracts for Iraq. I said, well, I work on a contract by contract basis. You want to give me a piece of those contracts? I'll help you. He's like, oh, why should I give you a piece? You didn't help me like win those contracts. I'm like, then why should I help you deliver them? He's like, oh, because if those go down, then that takes the Afghan contract the whole company goes down. That takes the Afghan contract with it. And I said, well, then do you want to give me a piece of the company? And he said, okay, I'll tell you what. He's like, you know what? I own 100% of AEY, and I would never do this for anyone else, but you're like my best friend, and you're a big reason why AEY is where it is today. So I'll tell you what, I'm going to give you 1% of AEY. And I said, 1%? I'm supposed to get 25% of the Afghan contract, and that's going to make us like 90% of the money in the next few years. So I think I'll stick with my 25%. And he's like, well, how about 0%? Because that's the only offer on the table. Take it or leave it. And I told him, well, go fuck yourself. I'll see you in court. And I walked out.
And I just want to point out,
yeah,
like I said in the beginning, you had no written contract up to that point.
We actually did have a written contract at this point because this was not the first time he tried to renegotiate with me. And at the last time he tried to renegotiate with me, I was like, okay, at this point we're writing this down. And we had a handwritten contract. I tried to scan it in my scanner. It was in my apartment. My scanner was actually broken. And so I put it on my living room table, and I was planning on getting my scanner fixed. And then like 2 days later, the contract disappeared mysteriously. He was the only person coming to my apartment. So I have to assume that he took it. And it was unfortunately before I could scan it. And my contract disappeared. So we did have a handwritten contract. It was like just not a formal thing done through lawyers or anything like that, but it was a written contract that we both signed. But I felt very stupid. I should have gotten something done way earlier than that through lawyers, and at the very minimum, taken a picture of my contract. It was that's the hard lessons you learn that.